Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Magical Butter Studios in the MJBA vendor event. I'm Jeremy Cooper, head chef for Magical Butter. Welcome everybody. You know what I realized we haven't done? We haven't done the famous Magical Butter fun stuff. So let's start off the day and get a little energy pumped up. Let's feel like we are in the cannabis industry and we are excited about the future of the cannabis industry and creating a professional environment for tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us here at Magical Butter Studios. I have a couple of Magical Butter team members up here. We've got Short and Sweet, Russ the Sauce Man. I see that Mom's walked out here in her stylish Let's Do Fashion Today hemp apparel from the past. And you know what? Since I got 3 awesome staff members over there, I'm gonna sell 3 Magical Butter machines, but it's gonna be a fun way. Look at a dollar bill in your wallet. If it says 420 all in a row in the serial number, you may buy a Magical Butter machine for $1. It's that simple, guys. Reach in your pocket. Let's sell a Magical Butter machine for $1 if there's a 420 in the code. So look around for that. We'll sell you a Magical Butter machine for $1 today. And keep that volume up for me up there. And you know what's really exciting, guys? I started off in the tech industry. I'm happy to introduce some wonderful people here this morning. You know, Nicholas, let's see. Oh, sorry, I grabbed the wrong card there for a second. The guys from ForeverGreen Indoors have created some of the most amazing LED light systems I have ever seen in my entire life. Come on up here. I want to introduce some of the team members from their group, and I know that you're going to introduce our wonderful. This is Kathleen, everybody, from ForeverGreen Indoors. And don't forget to see me about those $1 Magical Butter machines, but you need to hook this lady up. You need to take care of her, because let me tell you, she's got an amazing lighting system that I'm just absolutely jealous of. Thank you for coming to Magical Butter Studios.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right? You don't really need to hear me, you need to hear my friend here. So I am with ForeverGreen Indoors, and we provide LED grow light systems. And the cool thing about the grow light system that we have is that in case studies that have been done in Colorado and Washington, we're showing increased yield, and the only change in growing technique was the light. Plus you get energy savings, and there are utility rebates available that I'll talk about at the end. But I'd like to introduce my partner in crime here, Russ Etheridge from Lighting Science Group, and they invented this light. And it's backed by science from NASA, and it's backed by case studies at universities and different test grows in Colorado and Washington. And the sample of the light is over in the corner, so you're welcome to stop by and see what we've got and look at the ROI calculator and see how you can pay for it as well. So I'm going to turn you over to Russ.
Thanks, Kathleen. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to everybody that's invited us and allowed us to come showcase our products here. So special thanks to Dave Ryan's group and to Kathleen and her team over at ForeverGreen. My name is Russ Etheridge. I handle the sales channel for the LED grow light for North America for Lighting Science Group. And Lighting Science Group is headquartered in Melbourne, Florida, Satellite Beach, Florida, which is where we get a lot of our science. We're about 40 miles south of Kennedy Space Center. So rather than your typical lighting people, we have a lot of people from scientific background in NASA. And my partner in crime, who's not here today, was a 22-year veteran in NASA, and he headed the sustainability and small space program for NASA. So he was growing plants on the International Space Station, the Space Shuttle, and places like that. So we have a really good background, not only from a scientific background, but also LED. We're a leader in design. We make standard LED lighting products, from light bulbs to fixtures to luminaires. And we've taken all that technology and we rolled it into LED, what we call the Vivid Grow fixture. And for those who have not made it to our booth yet, we're back here in the corner. It's a nice green booth, and we've got a fixture lit up so you can take a look at it, and we also field any questions. Next slide. There's so many applications, and right now, the hot topic is cannabis, but we can utilize this lighting in any type of grow application. So, but we do indoor growing in many different facets, and we also do it in, whether it's in a greenhouse setup or if it's in a specialized indoor grow. Next slide. Some of the things that we've come up and that we're identifying as we've ventured into the cannabis industry is try to make sure that everybody's on the same wavelength. No pun intended, but when somebody talks to you about lighting, whether it's our company or somebody else, you need to make sure that they're using the right terminology. And that would be talking about PAR, which is the wavelength of light that they use in photosynthesis. It's very important that they use the right science and the right terminology, because if they're not, it's a quick indicator that they don't know what they're talking about. Other one is PPF, or photosynthetic photon flux, and that is quantitative instantaneous measurements. And basically what that is we don't use lumens, we use micromoles per second. And if people aren't talking about the measurement of light in micromoles, run the other way, because they don't understand the science behind matching lighting with agriculture. And then the last one is yield of photon flux, and that's how we determine the weight of light in agricultural growth. Next. What I just touched on is if somebody talks in lumens, lux, or candles, foot candles, that's incorrect. You need to be talking about the three things I just spoke about. And most importantly, it's just the word micromoles. That's the measurement of light. Next slide. This is a very scientific slide. I said I was in charge of the sales channel, so Neil kind of goes deeper into this, but it's on the wavelength. And so the wavelength goes between 400 and 700 nanometers. And our light is in that wavelength. It ties into the absorption rate of the plant accepting the light. So one of the challenges with our competitors, we sell mainly against high pressure sodium. It's a technology that has been out in the field. That light was made to illuminate roadways, stadiums, and large areas. It wasn't invented to grow plants. Our light is designed to grow plants. We use red and blue LEDs, and that's the most receptive color in the spectrum by plants. Next slide. Here's some spectral distribution of our, we call it Vivid Grow. And basically it's on the wavelength, so you've got your red and your blue and your green, very high spikes. And as you see, the red is high in the 600 nanometer range. Next slide. These are some key features about our technology and our fixture. My sales pitch is simple. We guarantee that we'll match your yield, we'll match your THC production, and we'll do it for 40% less energy. What we're finding out through our case studies, which I'll talk about shortly, is that we're finding the yields are increasing, and that's going to vary based upon growing principles by each individual grower. But we're having some fantastic results based upon that. The fixture's wet rated, very important from the life and the durability of the fixture design. We have very high PAR output, and what that means to you is the photosynthetic efficiency of the fixture is there for growing plants. Another thing that we do, we don't have very few moving parts. It's all inside, and with the wet rating to protect it. But no fans, no gimmicks like that. That's just other things to either break down, get dirty, need to be clean, and that's just added value or added expense to you as a grower, as a cultivator. Next slide. Keys to the plant growth: light intensity. Plant growth is determined by the total number of photons that are absorbed. So how do we get the maximum number of photons into the plant? We do that with LED by wavelength. We give the plants exactly what they need. We don't go on each end. We're not making light that you don't need, which is what the other technologies do. And in addition to that, it's being able to use the optics to get the coverage on the canopy at its maximum ability. Optimized spectrum. The spectrum is focused on the PAR spectrum for wavelengths that are most efficiently absorbed in photosynthesis, so that's important. Light uniformity, which I just said, the optics allow us to get the greatest distribution of light across the canopy. You know, one of the things too is that we use a specialized light meter when we're doing our readings, and we see that the increase in micromoles towards the edge of the canopy, it's so consistent. So rather than seeing, a lot of times you see with like HPS, you see this wavelength like this in the canopy. In the middle, right under the light, you get the highest plants. So you as a cultivator, you're constantly having to move plants around. There's a lot of maintenance and a lot of manual. You don't get that with LED. Because the spectral, the light distribution is so even that you get nice even growth across the whole canopy. And then last one, day length. Flowering is influenced by the photo period or the length of the day. So, you know, we work with you guys as far as changing some of your lighting periods, and because there's a lot of things that go into the different technology versus heat and light height and things like that. Next slide. LEDs versus traditional sources. I talked about the spectral control, light intensity, we talked about that. It's measured in micromoles per second, micromoles per joule. Heat management, our fixture, we have great thermals. The thing's been on for a long time, since this morning around, I think about 9 o'clock. So go back there, touch it, guarantee you won't burn your hands. That's going to affect that heat distribution and lack of heat production is going to reduce your HVAC and your overall electrical cost, and we factor that into when we do the ROI calculator. Great energy savings. We're averaging about 40% energy savings. We recommend a 2-to-1 ratio. So for every 1,000 watt HPS, we recommend as a company 2 fixtures. And our grower who's back here with us, Eric, was able to do it with 1. And his results were a 13% increase in his yield, and which actually surprised us. So we're taking a different look, and we're learning along with you as the grower. So we really value the feedback in our case studies. And then long life. So the life of that fixture is 50,000 hours. So you as growers, when you go to change the light bulbs, you're changing them in an HPS if you're using that medium. You're changing them every grow cycle or every 2, so you've got a lot of maintenance there. That fixture back there on a 12-hour grow cycle at 365 days a year will last 11 years. So long, long life. So one time buy and you can basically forget about it for a long time. Next slide. This is some performance analysis against HPS. That fixture is it's 390 watts. It's equal to a 600 watt high pressure sodium. There's the PAR or the light output is at 616 micromoles. The LSG, which is on the bottom, is at 640. We have 3 different spectrums, as you can see, wide, medium, and aisle. And then we also have the wet rating. So no cooling fan, we've identified this. If you're looking at other LED technologies, talk to us. We've broken down about 13 of them by Utah State, so it's an individual third-party analysis, and it's very detailed, and it kind of shows the efficiencies of why we think we're the best. Next slide. Keys to making the transition. I think it's not on here, but from a sales guy, the key that you have to be is if you're going to change and you're going to go to LED, you have to be open and flexible to changing your horticultural practices, because it's a different world. There's not as much heat, there's not as much, your nutrients are going to change based upon metabolism of the plant because of the difference in heat. So there's some things that you got to be open to, and if you do that, that's called change, that's how we evolve, that's how we get better. If you do that, I think you'll love the technology. You'll see the yields increases that we have in our case studies. But, you know, measure the baseline. We want to go and we want to average the same baseline over the whole canopy. You have to have a good starting point. Model the LED system to beat or match your baseline. As I said earlier, we guarantee that we'll match it. And we're ended up, and we're actually under promising, and the fixture's over delivering. And I give a lot of credit to our grower partners who have done the case studies. And then don't trust manufacturers' claim of HID equivalency. One anecdotal story is that in Denver, XL Energy is providing rebates back to the grow community. It's about $135 a fixture. And they have stopped the rebates temporarily because Neil, my partner, the NASA scientist, has told them and shown them where they have some fallacies in their rebate. And it's one thing that they won't get, that the utility won't get their desired results from the rebate by less wattage and less energy use. It's you as a grower who's not going to get back what you were looking for. And then guess what's going to happen? You're going to be so irritated at LED technology that you won't use it and you'll have a bad name. And that's how it perpetuates. And we got to make sure that we're all singing the same song. If your song's better than mine, then we need to go back to the drawing board and make it better. But we need to all be singing the same music, working from the same guideline. And that's our job, is to educate you about our technology. Next slide. Common misconceptions that plants grow better under LED. It's not true. LEDs, it's all about how much par they're getting. So it's the amount of light. It's not the light source of the spectrum. Plants don't flower under LED. That's not true. It's all about the photo period. It's not the spectrum. And plants need the far red for flowering. The far red is an essential. It's proven in science, and we've got it in that high 600 range where I showed you, between 630 and 680 nanometers. Plants need UV light. Plants do not need UV light. I will say this, we're interested in how this is affected. We don't have any UV light back there. More importantly, here on the West Coast, we don't have any mercury either. So if you're in tune with the environment, which I hope everybody is, we don't have we don't have the recycling cost to our fixture that you do when you're having to dispose of HPS or metal halide or linear fluorescent. And then, but we're interested in how UV does affect the lamps and the plants, and we're trying to figure that out back in our headquarters. And then the other one is that plants need broad spectrum lighting simulating sunlight as much as possible. Broad spectrum contains wavelengths that are not efficiently absorbed. So once again, you have that wavelength. We produce only what the plant needs for photosynthesis, and all that other stuff is wasted energy and cost that you're wasting your money on. So, next slide, please. Red flag warnings. I'm going to kind of blow through these, but lumens are not the correct. I said that earlier. If they're not talking micromoles, politely ask them to leave, because you're wasting your time and you're going to get sold something that is probably not going to be effective for your grow facility. The 600 watt HPS is about 600 micromoles. Our fixture at 390 watts is 660 micromoles, 640, I'm sorry. If they talk about the par measurements are directly under the fixture, you want to know what the par measurements are across the canopy. That's important. That takes the maintenance of your people having to constantly move plants. We're trying to help you make your grow not only from a lighting more efficient, but also from a manual standpoint. These are all things that we've uncovered in the process.
Hey, honey.
When they say individual LED wattage does not describe the fixture performance, it's the fixture wattage, not the LED wattage. It's bad marketing. There's no magical growth spectrum. The farther off the photosynthetic spectrum, the worse the fixture, the worse the light source. You need to be in that nanometer range that's most effective for photosynthesis. And the grow area fixture is the sole source of installation guidelines. The target efficiency is critical. We're finding that the target efficiency quoted by a lot of our quoted and what's actual are different. We're at 1.66% efficient, and most people are under 1% in that rating. Demand accurate and appropriate. It needs to be in micromoles per second, micromoles per joule. You need the actual fixture wattages. And not only the fixture wattage when you're doing your return on investment, but also the ballast that drives the high pressure sodium and the metal halide. All that needs to be factored in. And then average par levels need to be defined over the entire canopy, the entire growing area. And ask them for case studies. that are for like third party, not what they've grown, not what they've done. Next slide. These are some of our case studies. One of our educational partners is Utah State University. They have a fantastic plant physiology department, and we do a lot of testing with them. They do a lot of our breakdown of competitive product. Denver Relief out of in Denver, which is Kayvon and Ian, and the pioneers in our industry, helping us, lead the charge. We've done some strain testing with them. Strainwise out of Denver, and then also Mapito out of Spokane. So Eric is back here from Mapito. Please talk to him. He's passionate, and he does a fantastic job about trying to move forward what we're trying to do here. Next slide. I'm going to blow through this. I think what's important to me from a sales standpoint is yield. So these are the studies from Denver Relief. You have the dry weight there in the third column. Under HPS, they took in their they actually did 2 different strains, and under this first strain they had 1.77 pounds in HPS, and with our lamps, our fixture, they got 2 pounds. What's more important is the THC level was comparable. Very good, very high, very potent product. And then the efficiencies, which you see is 1.3% efficiency versus the HPS, which is less than 1%. And then down below on the Durban Poison, once again the dry weight was 1.78 pounds and the LED was 1.88. Less power. This actually, the 16.45 we think was a sampling error. It's we've uncovered sampling errors. There's no standard guideline in the cannabis industry. We need to get that because we need to make sure. We think that's a bad sampling error, and we admit it. So our next strain will update that. Next slide. This is Strainwise, kind of busy. Take a look at the third. You see it's busy. We did 40 strain tests with them. It was a much larger test. 118 plants, and they. As you see here in the yield increases were higher. We're very, very excited about what they brought out. And then also you see the LED efficiencies versus HPS on the grams per kilowatt. You see it's a much greater increase utilizing LED. I see you guys are focused on that. You need a couple more seconds to look. If you want to come to the booth, and I've got some slides. Next slide, please. This is what we took from Strainwise. Guys and gals taking a look at this. We took the poundage off of this. So in HPS, they grew 29 pounds. Under LED, they grew 36 pounds. We took the rec value, which is in the third column, and we took, the revenue of the medical and versus the recreation. And as you see down here below, the increase is based off of that. If they wanted to sell it, they chose their medium and how they want to sell it, whether rec or medium, or rec or medical. In the rec, it was an increase of $54,000, 118 plants. That right there was extremely powerful. It's hard to argue with that, and that's what they walked away with. So although there's an increased upfront cost, it's the long-term increase in your yields that you're going to experience every 60 to 90 days as you have a grow cycle. Next slide. If you have any questions, I think I may have spoke a little too long, but if you have any questions, please come to our booth. It's booth number 420 in the back. I'd like to bring Kathleen back up. Kathleen's going to talk to you about some of the things that are going on, particularly here with the financing and rebates here in Washington.
So Russ has sold you on that you need this lamp. You're going to get a higher yield, you're going to make more money, but you're like, how am I going to pay for this? So there are some financing options. We also have an ROI calculator, so you can, we have it set up so you input your own numbers, your own square footage, what you're growing, and it'll give you the ROI on the increased yield and the energy savings for this lamp. But more importantly, ForeverGreen has relationships with every single utility in the state of Washington, and almost every single one is offering rebates to put this lamp in instead of high pressure sodium or metal halide. The energy that is being saved by that, the utilities here are reselling that energy to other states at a higher kilowatt hour than they charge here. So they are more than happy to give rebates. So not only are you making increased yield, energy savings, but your utility will most likely help you pay for these lamps. So come back and talk to us. Talk to us about what utility that you're with. I have 5 different meetings this week with different utilities, and I can go in and talk with them specifically about your situation and see how much they are willing to pay to help you out. So please come back and visit with us. We've got our grower back here who did amazing things with this lamp. He got buds all the way down to the soil because the light penetrates all the way down instead of just at the top. And he's got some really great growing methods he can talk to you about. We've got Russ here from Lighted Science Group, and we have Kevin debuting the ROI calculator to help you figure out how you can make more money. So thank you.